welcome to 30 Minutes of Faith. It's our pleasure today to have Melissa Chapman, the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation here in Sacramento. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, John. Thank you.
We always start with, where were you born and raised?
Just outside of Chicago in a suburb called Skokie, Illinois.
And raised in a religious home?
Actually, a very traditional cultural home, not necessarily religious, but with a strong understanding of where our roots were. My grandmother was born and raised in Israel, so being Jewish was a strong part of our identity. But when she moved to the States, just as it happens with many people, people start to assimilate a little bit and try to find different avenues to connect with their community. So she always made sure that we followed traditions during the holidays and things like that, and maintained a set of values that were very Jewish, which I've found now in my work have translated, and that's taking care of the world, doing good by others, social action, the basic principles of being Jewish. So we had a little bit of everything growing up.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I don't. I'm an only child.
And how was that? Was that good or bad, or a little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything. I always wondered what it would be like and what my sibling would be like, but I don't think I suffer from only child syndrome. That's at least what people tell me. I enjoyed being able to spend a little bit more intimate time with my family that way, more one-on-one time, so I feel pretty balanced, and hopefully others think I am too.
Your parents still living?
They are. Both of them are.
In the Chicago area?
Actually, my mom lives in Palm Springs. My dad recently moved to Montreal. He was remarried about 2 years ago. And my grandmother, who I'm also very close with, as I've just told you, is still living, and she's in the Chicago area.
Your father speak French?
He doesn't. He's trying. He's definitely trying.
I was in Montreal for a couple of days, and it would have really helped if you could speak French. And they work with you really well, but if you could just wander up and speak French, it'd be a good thing.
It's true. Every sign is in French. He tells me that there are actually regulations, and people come to check to make sure the signage is always in French and not in English. So he'll have to learn.
Now, how did you get from outside of Chicago to Sacramento?
It's a good question. My husband was relocated for work, and I really thought that I would be in Chicago the rest of my life. I really love it there. It's a wonderful city. It offers you the beauty of a metropolis like New York, but with a very Midwestern feel, because really you're surrounded by cornfields. So you have a sense of community there that you don't necessarily experience in a big city. The easy part about coming here, well, I'm not sure anybody can deny coming to California when it's in front of you, and retiring your snow shovel when you live in Chicago. So happy to do that. But I found that Sacramento also had a very Midwestern feel to it. A wonderful sense of community and family. You can know people, you can navigate Sacramento very easily. People are very warm and welcoming here.
It's a nice town. We've been here 30 years, and it's, you know, you can be out in the orchards and the farm country, or you can be down and doing some, you know, very metropolitan sort of things.
It's true, and skiing 2 days later.
Or run to the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, and then sometimes you can do both in, you know, a couple of days. We've liked that a lot. You've been downtown Chicago when they dumped the River Green?
You bet.
I wanted to do that. You know, I saw that when I was a boy, and I thought, someday I've got to get to Chicago when they do that on St. Patrick's Day.
You have to. Now, know that anytime you go, the river stays some shade of green.
Does
it's
it?
just brighter on St. Patrick's Day.
Well, that Chicago is really a distinctive place. Was your husband a Chicagoan?
He was actually born and raised in Greece. We met in college, and his mother was born in the States, went to Greece on a Fulbright scholarship, never left, married his father, and he came to college. Actually, we went to a very small school in central Illinois with about 1,000 students. So the fact that this person who lived 4,000 miles away ended up where I did, it has to make you think there was a little bit of fate there.
A little divine intervention.
Absolutely.
And the name of that college is?
Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois.
And did you get a good education?
Sure did. I sure did. I would never change it for anything. I came from a very small school with about 57 kids in my graduating high school class, And I wanted to go somewhere where I could make an impact and make a difference, have some more of that one-on-one time with my professors, which I suppose is the only child in me seeking a little bit more individual attention, and my husband's also an only child. So we ended up there. They had a wonderful scholarship program. They were really focused on the things that were important to me, and that was finding a well-rounded way to navigate life. And I know no freshman really knows what they're going in to do, but they allowed the flexibility and really wanted you to find the best possible path for you as an individual and how you would make a greater impact in the world. So I'd say it really translated into my professional life, and I'm very thankful that I had that foundation.
Now look, back to junior high and all those other things. When the boys are playing sports and fixing their cars and chasing girls and doing all the other things, and the girls are just hitting the books and being the really good students and all that stuff, is that what you were?
Well, I could say, yes, of course that's what I was. But my dad actually wanted to teach me everything that the boys were doing. He used to restore antique cars and renovate our house. So I was actually hanging drywall and changing oil while at the same time reading books on the side.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Way to go. You'd go to classes in junior high and high school, and the girls would be the first ones done with the tests, and the scores would be posted, and they were getting A's and that, and we were all working hard to get, if it was a B plus, or in my home, if it was an A minus or a B plus, my mother would think that was okay. If it got to a B, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. And I'd think, well, the girls don't understand. They're not working on their car, and they're not playing football or baseball or whatever it is. They're just studying all the time, sort of thing.
It's true.
So how then did you come to the Jewish Federation once you came to California?
I actually worked for the Jewish Federation in Chicago for nearly 15 years. I had no idea there was a job here. Again, it's one of those divine intervention moments. We call it beshert, and beshert means meant to be. We came here, and it was a journey of biblical proportions. I'm not sure if I've shared my story with you before, but when we left, we literally came through every possible natural disaster. It was as if the plague was coming again, and I was expecting locusts and frogs and things like that, an ice storm, a tornado. We got stuck on I-80 for about 7.5 hours because they shut the highway down. When we got here, our movers called and said their engine blew up, it would be an extra 2 weeks. We found out there was carbon monoxide poisoning in our house, so I did start to question whether or not this was the right move.
Can we just turn around and go back?
Exactly. maybe somebody's trying to tell us something. But I stuck it out, and after a few weeks of being here, I started to feel a little bit disconnected. I'd been so involved in the Jewish community in Chicago for my professional and personal life, and Sacramento doesn't have an obvious Jewish center. We're really spread out geographically. Davis, Grass Valley, Tahoe. The Federation actually has a huge region that covers nearly 30,000 residents. So I wanted to volunteer. I wanted to see how I could give back, knowing that I had a great deal of Federation experience. I thought it could be translatable. Didn't even look to see that there was a job opening. And I had a lunch appointment with the interim executive director at the time. Within a few minutes, he actually said, "It's wonderful that you'd like to volunteer, but perhaps you'd like to receive a paycheck instead." So I said to myself, you got it. Yeah. And now I know why we made this journey, and it was worth it. And I was very hopeful, very humbled that the position would be offered to me, and thought, how could I take this 15 years of experience and try to make a difference here in Sacramento? It's been just over a year now. We have a wonderful staff, a wonderful community that's been extremely responsive to all of the changes going on. As you know, we're trying very hard to develop every kind of partnership in the community. We want to work with people. We want to understand each other. We want to see how we can find commonalities with other members of our community, particularly in the faith-based communities.
We talk often at Interfaith about outreach. And, sometimes you can reach out to about anybody, that somebody needs help. Other times it's, a specific viewpoint. Shall we reach out to so-and-so? The long-time standing religions you know, the Jewish faith and the Catholic faith and Islam and those others, they've been surviving for many years to the tune of, you know, fairly large numbers or reputation of influencing. And to have the Jews reach out is a real good thing, a real good thing. Has your husband's work worked out for why he came here, or is that all changed so that you could be in place?
No, it's worked out very nicely for both of us. I found out after 15 years of being together that he's actually quite an active outdoorsman. But when you're surrounded by concrete and tall buildings, you can't really go skiing and kayaking. So there's this whole new side of him that I've seen. I'm so happy to just watch him. He's incredibly happy, and coming from Greece, this is really kind of the best of both worlds. It offers him certain opportunities that unfortunately the Greek economy don't really afford right now. And he can do everything that he loves in his personal life, so he's extremely happy. Everything is working out very nicely for him.
Have you been back to Greece?
I haven't been since September 2 years ago. We actually had a wonderful party that his mother threw for us. He was back in December and is planning to go this summer. It's one of the best places in the world to go if you need rest and relaxation. Have you been to Greece before?
I have not.
You would really enjoy it. You would. And talk about some fishing. Unbelievable fishing there.
How about have you been back to Chicago in recent times?
I have about 4 times. Because my grandmother's there and we are very close, I want to try and be there as often as possible. I do travel in a bit of a crazy way, and we'll go in for 24 or 48 hours, try to see as many people as possible. My husband and I just went back together for the first time and had to rent 2 separate cars, have completely different agendas because we had these lists that just weren't meshing. So it was nice that we were able to do that together and see our own friends and also spend some time with family together.
Has Grandma seen Sacramento?
She has. She has. I brought her and my mother out last Rosh Hashanah for the high holidays. And I didn't tell my grandmother that my mother was coming. She hadn't seen my mother in almost a year. So it was the best possible way to celebrate the Jewish New Year. We cooked together, we laughed, we shared pictures. She was very happy to see us here and to see that my husband and I, Andrew, were really able to make a life very quickly and easily here.
When you were talking a moment ago about your husband doing some things that hadn't done, I have a brother-in-law who is in his 50s who has been afraid of heights all of his life. Doesn't even want to stand on just a garden wall anywhere. And he decided a couple of years ago he wanted to try to overcome that. And he had a firefighter friend. Make a long story short, they found a place where he could rappel 15 stories.
Oh.
And then they got all into it and got talking all these different things, decided they could make a fundraiser out of it and all this other stuff. So anyway, they went through all of that. They didn't just rappel him down one day out of nowhere. His friend took him out to the rocks and things, you know, they got some practice. But he turned what had been, you know, all of his life he'd thought, I need to overcome this. You know, I need to overcome this. Everybody else having fun. They're jumping off motorcycles 3 stories high and all that. So anyway, it turned out to be a nice experience. And when you can live in a place, that was in Colorado, you can live in a place where you can do that and you're not just surrounded by restrictions. It works out very nice.
It's wonderful to have those options. It seems to me like that might be a fundraiser for us to put on together.
Seems like it,
Watch
doesn't
the
it?
2 executive
Seems
directors
like
rappel.
15 stories?
We have to support each other.
Now, how is the Jewish Federation doing?
We're doing really well. We've been going through a ton of changes, and change is never easy for any community. But again, the Jewish community here, I think, is really looking to show how strong and vibrant they really are. And the Jewish Federation is trying to show them that we are the central address. We're there in the best of times, and we're there in the times when the community is most vulnerable. We support you here locally. We support our brothers and sisters abroad, around the world. And we want to make sure that there's always a safety net for anybody in our community. And truthfully, that extends way beyond the Jewish community. We're here for the greater Sacramento community. We're here to make the world a better place. And it's wonderful to see that we have partners out there, just like you, who are willing to support us and help spread the good word and focus on building our community resources to make this a stronger, more, I guess, a better world, to put it in the most basic terms. That's at the end of the day what we're all looking to do, and we can't do it alone.
It is what we're all trying to do, and we had a conversation not too long ago about how much war there is in the name of God. It's too bad we can't have the equal amount of peace in the name of God. Have you been to Jerusalem?
I have, and this evening we are having an informational meeting because we're putting our first community trip to Israel together. I'm so excited. I'm very hopeful we'll have at least 30 or 40 participants. This will mark my 19th trip to Israel. It's a place that's very near and dear to me, as I've told you, and I would love the opportunity to experience it with you one day, because it's the cradle of civilization. Every single one of us, no matter what, can find something there.
Yep.
And I realize that there are some very hot topics surrounded, and there are tons of sensitivities that have been building for thousands of years. But if all of us could step back for a moment and really figure out that we all started in the same place and that we all do have these shared central core values, I think it would be helpful to move in the direction I know you and I are hoping that the world will move in.
I was on a conference call not too long ago with some faith leaders, Atlanta and Boston and Washington and Denver and LA and that doesn't really matter, but it was interesting to me to listen how we all proclaim to be a child of God. We all say that. And we were different faiths, and we can call God by whatever name we want to do that. But we all say, yeah, we're all the child of God.
Yes.
But as siblings, we don't do all that well all the time. You know, and people say, you know, no, you're a Jew, you can't do that. Or I'm a Mormon, don't you do that, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And the central theme was, you know what, I don't care if you're black or blue or green or white. It doesn't matter to me what you are, how you behave. If you'll treat me with love and respect, I'll treat you with love and respect in return.
Absolutely.
And we'll become friends and, you know, all those other things. Where's the future of the Jewish Federation and the JCRC and that in Sacramento in the next 5 or 10 years?
Again, we're really hoping to build our partnerships, not just within the Jewish community, but with the entire Sacramento community. We want to be a resource. We want to be there to help educate the community. We'd like to be a voice of the Jewish community. The Jewish Community Relations Council really helps us in those areas to be out there advocating for rights on campus. I'm sure everyone's aware, the UC system is dealing with some heated topics, and to know that, again, there's a safety net there if someone's in need, if someone needs help, advice, presence, being, that we can step in and be there. We really want to say to the community, we're here no matter what, along every step of life, and we're here to provide opportunities. We're here to provide a good, healthy environment, an educational opportunity for the rest of the community, as well as our own community. We've been doing a lot of work talking to each other as well and engaging in civil discourse. Israel, as we were just saying, is a very heated topic, even within the Jewish community. And we're trying to find ways to create healthy dialogues internally so that we can then go out and have those healthy dialogues externally. That would be one of our main goals, as well as increasing awareness of what we do so that we can continue to provide the critical services that unfortunately other agencies aren't able to do right now.
The viewers would be asking, I
Yes.
think, can I just, you know, Joe Schmo, show up at a synagogue on a Friday night and can I worship with you?
Absolutely. There is a wonderful, wonderful group of synagogues here throughout the region, nearly 20 actually, and in Sacramento proper. There are 5 to 6 larger ones, and really they They cover the entire spectrum of belief, from very Reformed to very Orthodox. So in whichever way you're comfortable observing, you can find a place. And the truth is, even if you're very Reform, you can go to the Orthodox synagogue and feel comfortable. You would be welcomed. You would be encouraged to ask questions. People would want you to know that you're part of the family no matter where you are in the belief system. And I would say that's the job of the Jewish Federation as well. Not only that, but we provide a home to people who may not know to go into a synagogue. And you don't have to be Jewish to go into a synagogue either. It's a wonderful thing to experience. If you are interested at all, you can go on our website, which is www.jewishsac.org, and we have a ton of community resources. So anything Jewish that might be of interest to you, we can provide. In the spring, we put on a Jewish Heritage Festival that's open to the entire community. It's a street fair in our own Midtown backyard, just up the street. We would love to have friends there joining us, enjoying the music, the food, the culture. Really, we're nothing without sharing what we have to offer with the rest of the community.
There's some real good Jewish food.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, I've only been to synagogue probably 20 times in my entire life, and I've always gone with a friend or an invitation or something. But there's always music. There's always good music. There's not only the cantor, but there's little children's choirs, or somebody's presenting something. Is music an important part of the Jewish religion?
I would say music is a very important part of our culture and religion. It's part of our tradition, and it's dependent on the geographic areas that you come from. The Eastern European tradition of klezmer is amazing, and then you have the Sephardic tradition that's more North African, Middle East, that has almost a haunting beauty to it that I can't explain, but I'm sure you've experienced before. Anything that allows you to feel closer to your people is important to us, be it music, food, camaraderie, community service. Any opportunity to bring people closer is important to us.
In the daily routines of someone who is a Jew by heritage, and not necessarily, a convert or whatever else, where's the separation between I am Jewish by heritage and I am Jewish by faith?
Now that would depend who you ask. You could probably garner about 5 million different opinions on this.
Fair enough.
And we talk about it quite often. How do you determine what it means to be Jewish? It's really a critical question, especially with the 20-something crowd, who I think is facing a certain identity crisis in general.
And that would be true in all faiths.
Exactly,
yes,
exactly. It's a very difficult world filled with challenges. You try to find your way. There's so many options out there to choose from, and people are over-programmed. They don't necessarily think about their religion or heritage as the first avenue. But if we find ways to connect with them and let them know that there isn't a defined way to be Jewish, I think that will really change the culture. There's an amazing program you may have heard of called Birthright Israel. And it's funded by different federations and anonymous donors who said, we need to get our young people to Israel. Why? To connect with their heritage, to let them know that it doesn't mean they have to go to synagogue every week. It doesn't mean they have to keep kosher. It means that they need to feel connected to the people, the history, connected to being a good person. Again, those fundamental Jewish beliefs are repairing the world, giving back, social justice. Those are the elements that I think will form a synagogue without walls, will help this newer Jewish community feel comfortable. And that's the first step to connecting at a very deep level. So if we can continue to provide opportunities at every different step of life, starting with birth by offering free books that have Jewish themes, Jewish-themed music to children, if you start then and continue to build the blocks, hopefully we'll have a very strong community around the world.
Let's talk kosher foods a minute.
Okay.
Is there a favorite kosher food?
That's a good one. Unfortunately, we don't have a kosher restaurant here anymore, but I would say that our community would love a kosher deli more than anything. And my guess is the entire Sacramento community would really enjoy a good kosher corned beef sandwich with a pickle on the side.
When I was a very young adult working in Salt Lake City, there was a kosher deli tucked back in behind a business park. And I don't think we appreciated what we were getting. We just knew that we liked that sandwich or that dish or that dessert. And the very first time I went in there, it was with another man who said, well, you should have this and you should have that and do this and you'll be, and I ate it and it was delicious. And so for the next, 5 months, I came back and ate the same thing and then finally decided one day I better do something different. Well, our time is flying. We're about done here. Can I ask you one other thing that I would like your opinion on? If you could wave a magic wand in the world and create something or do away with something or fix something, what would that be?
I think I'd like to create more people who are willing to move into the positions that we are to help further a better world and community altogether.
How will we do that?
Talking, educating, working together, and letting the people who trust us know that we would never be engaged in something that wasn't honest and worthwhile.
I wish we could get more honest and worthwhile in everything we do, right down to just going for an ice cream cone, and if he gave you a nickel back and change, you'd give it back.
One step at a time, John.
One step at a time. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure to visit with you.
Thank you, you too.
Appreciate it a lot.
All right.
Okay.